This would never happen today. How about this for a cool rock story? So this band was coming off a big #1 hit, and they wrote what they thought was another huge hit. But one of the most famous record men in history, Jerry Wexler, he didn't like it. And he actually discouraged Atlantic Records from releasing it. Well, the famous DJ, Murray the K, he was stunned because he knew it was a #1 hit, because he'd heard it. So he actually cornered the iconic label head and said, "Are you crazy? This is a friggin' #1 record." Find out if he was right next with an interview with the singer and the co-writer of the song on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you've ever invested more into your actual car stereo than your car, you're going to love this channel. Make sure to subscribe below right now to get real stories behind your favorite songs, most of the time from the artists themselves. Oh, how I love this story. This is from an interview I did with a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame vocalist whose pipes blew up radio in the 60s and 70s as the lead singer of the American rock group, the Young Rascals, or the Rascals after they changed their name. This is the story of their 1967 #1 hit, Groovin. They had just hit pay dirt with the #1 rocker, Good Lovin. This was a group that gave the Beatles and the Stones a run for their money for a little while, with 3 #1 hits and 9 top 20 hits over just a couple years' time. They had that perfect blue-eyed soul meets rock and roll sound that many would mimic that came after it. And to think, one of the greatest songs to come out of the 60s, Groovin', it almost didn't get released. Legendary record man Jerry Wexler, who I might add signed or produced some of the greatest acts of all time, including Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Led Zeppelin, Dire Straits, and Bob Dylan, just to name a few. He didn't care for the song. Wexler didn't want Atlantic Records to put Groovin' out as a single because he thought it was a stiff. He didn't like the fact that it didn't have any drums. Well, famed New York DJ Murray the K, he thought the song was a smash. And, you know, he made it his goal to talk Wexler into letting the song get released, so he cornered the record man, and he basically let him have it. He said, "Are you crazy? This is a friggin' #1 record. It'll be a stone cold smash." Well, Jerry Wexler relented, and the song got released, and sure enough, the song went to #1 for 4 weeks. And it became the Rascals' signature song. Coming up next, lead singer and co-writer of the song, Felix Cavaliere. He tells the story of writing the song with bandmate Eddie Brigati, and why the band changed their name from the Young Rascals to just the Rascals, and why the 60s are so special in the grand scheme of the musical thing. You're not going to want to miss this one. Here's Felix. I mean, you were always the Rascals, but they changed it to the Young Rascals to the harmonic Rascals that were around, and they were afraid of that.
Yeah, you know, we were in California and we heard the news. Guess what? You're the Young Rascals now. I said, ugh. And the reason is because I would have people come over to the house and say, "Does that dog really have a circle around his ear?"
Yeah. They got you mixed up with Little Rascals a lot of times.
Pink Rascals, anything, But anyway, that was interesting. So as soon as we kind of got our sea legs with a couple of hits, we changed it.
Let's talk about one of the greatest slow jams ever, Groovin'. On a Sunday afternoon. #1 on the Hot 100 charts, 4 weeks at #1. #8 in UK, your biggest hit in the UK. Yep. #1 in Canada, #3 in Australia, #3 on the R&B charts.
Now you're talking.
Oh yeah, and what was interesting is this was #1 for 2 weeks on the Hot 100, and then Respect by Aretha Franklin, #1 for a couple weeks, and then it came back for another 2 weeks and was #1. So that slow, relaxed groove, I had always read that it was based on your newfound interest in Afro-Cuban music.
Well, from a musical point of view, yes, that's true. Basically, a lot of influences, especially from the Latin and, of course, Afro-Cuban, because we didn't have a drum in there. We had a conga. Atlantic really didn't like that too much. They gave us hard. See, Atlantic's job was to drive us crazy, with their theories of life. And, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. Well, they were wrong about that one. And there's some great stories about that. I mean, I don't know how long you want me to speak on it.
Let's talk about it.
But Groovin was a major part of our career, no doubt about it. The story behind it is relatively simple. Musicians usually work on the weekends. And I say this on stage, not too many women think that's a good idea. So, and so basically, to keep your relationship and to keep your sanity, you better write a song that tells you love them. Well, Groovin on a Sunday afternoon is about the fact that Sunday afternoon is free and, we can get together. And everybody kind of felt that, you know what I mean? Because it's true, Groovin on a Sunday afternoon is the only time that we had. And as far as the influences are concerned, yes, being in New York City, there's a huge Latin community down there. And the music, now everybody knows, but the music from that culture is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You'd go to a show and there'd be an orchestra up there for the same price as you guys are seeing a trio. And they're cooking like, man, they got 20 drummers and horns and and I happened to become, involved in that through a group called Larry Harlow. And I couldn't believe how cool it was, because it's real music. So I was, indoctrinated into that world. So we went into the studio. As a matter of fact, that's the one that was James Brown's studio. We did that at a place called Talent Masters. So we went in there, we're cutting this song, and there was this guy in there who was a famous DJ named Murray the K. Now, he was huge. He was the fifth Beatle. And he loved it. He said, man, this is it. Jerry Wexler over at Atlantic said, no, man, you guys can't put a song like that. You got to know you're a rock and roll band. What are you doing? There's no drum. What are you, crazy? Murray went, I'll put that on today. He says, like I say, that's a great record.
He's like, that's a friggin' smash,
So Murray really helped us with that.
Murray the K, he made you guys his house band after seeing you at the Gordian Knot, right?
Yeah, he was a great guy. And another interesting thing about it is that, Atlantic was one floor of a building. That means the studio was here, the mastering room was there, the secretaries were there, the execs were there. So when anything happened, everybody knew about it. Well, they would come flooding in when they heard something good like that.
I can't imagine anything that's better.
The next thing is that Booker T and the MGs, they heard it. Mm-hmm. They released, an instrumental version, almost before we got it out. It was just great. Those days were so innocently great.
But what do you remember about recording it?
The Beatles came out with this song called Yellow Submarine, right?
Yeah.
So, I was a little in a daze in those days, So, what a great idea. You establish a sonic environment. We're in a submarine.
Many more of them live next door.
Well, I said that to Paul, and he looked at me like, yeah, right. What a great idea. It's like smell-o-vision. You throw the odor in the room. How about putting the sound in the room? So let's put everybody out in a friggin' spring day or a summer day with birds and stuff. And we happen to have guys in the group, Eddie and his brother David, that could do birds.
Wow.
Let me tell you something. We had a ball. We had so much fun. Now, as far as the musicians part of that, as I say, up to then, we were pretty much self-contained with our bass, either me or Gene. So Arif comes in one day and says, got a couple of guys in the room, in the company that would like to play on your album.
The Cuban-influenced bass line from the session, that was played by Chuck Rainey, right?
Absolutely. He played maybe 3 notes, and I said, oh my God. Are you kidding me? Wow. He's one of the best that ever lived on the Fender bass. Seriously, if you don't know his name, they should look him up. Chuck Rainey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
he's
my
incredible.
God. So from that point on, we hired him every time. But Chuck was just great. And he became such a good friend and such an important part of our records. It's hard to even imagine without him. He was just you give them the idea and then you just let them go.
Yeah.
And when you came out, it was just like magic, man,
Just do it.
Well, that harmonica, where did the idea for that come about?
Oh, I don't remember that. I don't know. It's just, part of that kind of summer, floaty, kind of like,
Yeah.
spring, summer, I love you,
On a Sunday afternoon.
The background vocals on Groovin were just so different, because you had 2 or 3 different variations of what you did throughout the song, and it's dreamlike. It's just magical. This song.
Well, that was the idea, is to, kind of have them floating up there. See, because, when you have the Hammond organ, I mean, just to digress for a second, you have these Leslie speakers over here. Now, the Leslie speakers, what they do is they spin.
Yeah.
See, so what you're doing is you're filling the room with those harmonics that come where voices are. So I've always wanted to do that, was to fill this, Well, now I have voices that can do it.
There's always lots of things that we could see.
Because you guys had such distinct harmonies.
Well, that was my idea from the beginning, as I say, is to, to make as good a singing group as we could, because that's what I thought the Beatles was a singing group. They were really excellent singers, and to be in the middle of that, the creative juices at Atlantic Records, basically, they really wanted to make great product all the time. It wasn't just like stamp it out and, put it out. So that feeling was always there. And I always appreciated that. The way I describe it is that if somebody takes the trouble to till a wonderful garden, and then you come in with a bunch of seeds, and you just go, oh, pew, it just goes, shh.
Yeah.
That's how Atlantic Records was for
Yeah.
us. To make records there was such a joy.
Ain't a place I like to be instead of moving.
And your vocal,
Yeah.
it's like Ray Charles on steroids. I mean, you were in the moment.
Well, we were always in the moment in that room, man, because you really enjoy what you do. If you enjoy what you do, that's something you never forget, is when you have those earphones on and you're listening to what is to be the final product, and you're in the middle of that as a singer, come on.
On a Sunday afternoon.
I love the lyric, life would be ecstasy, you and me endlessly. And the Groovin on a Sunday afternoon, really couldn't get away too soon.
Couldn't get away too soon.
You talk about the muse, and I have read that your muse, Adrienne Boucheri, you had met her, and all of a sudden these love songs started
that really came out.
pouring out of you. And groovy was a word that was used at that time, obviously, but this was one of 2 or 3 songs that came out that actually used the word groovy.
Yes.
But you took groovy and turned it into groovin', and again,
Groovin'.
it became that popular thing. And she gave you a shot in the arm creatively, that muse, right?
Oh, no question. The other interesting thing about Groovin is that, the Latin community adopted us.
Oh, yeah.
See, and that was huge, because, basically, we were the first white act, basically on Atlantic. And now we got R&B, you got Latin. We're doing okay. You know what I mean?
A lot of people have adopted that song as, like, even genres like Latin, R&B, yacht rock. I've heard that they've even said that that's one of the great yacht rock songs. When you record it in Spanish, Italian, French.
Oh, boy. That was interesting.
It inspired Smokey Robinson to write Cruisin'. Did you know that?
I love it when we're cruising together.
Well, he inspired me to write everything.
Yeah.
Come on.
But he said that. He said, he's going to say, I love it when we're grooving together. And he's like, it's a little too close. I'll say cruising. But that's pretty awesome.
No, the relationship, we had a kind of a relationship with Motown. Barry Gordy gave us a lot of accolades too, saying like, you guys are doing all right. But, the best is Otis Redding, you know what I mean? Otis, see, in those days, they didn't have these big signs all over the place. Do not enter. Recording.
Yeah.
See? So Otis sticks his head in and he goes, my God, they are white.
Oh, that's great.
He was great.
Oh, man.
What a great guy.
Well, there's a reggae version of it by Pato Banton. And another song that's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Grammy Hall of Fame. It's been used so much in pop culture, pirate radio. It was used in that movie. Apollo 13, that was awesome when they used it in that. The Lost Boys, used it. Home Again, Tower Heist, all these movies. But, what I love about this song, and this is the power of music, right? When you write a song like you have with Groovin, where it lasts forever and you can hear it and it takes you back to those memories of the past.
Absolutely.
And it brings you comfort. It makes me think of a few times being with my dad.
See, that's what people say all the time. Absolutely.
Him, hearing that song, him turning it up, singing along. And thank you for that memory, because that means so much to me.
Appreciate that. That's what we get when we play live. See, when I play live now, I do this little kind of speech because in our day, no internet, iPhones, Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. Our link together was the music. Everybody from, that generation was listening, and it was pretty cool because we kind of tuned into, Paul just fell in love. He just wrote a love song. Oh, Keith's in jail. He got busted again. You know what I'm saying? So we all knew, like we kind of thought we knew each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's that feeling that we try to create when we play live. And that's what I tell the audience. I say, look, hey, let's do that again, okay? Because we really need that, man. We're so diverse now and separated. Nobody even talks to anybody. And, and I do this whole thing about it. And then I say, look, for 2 minutes, 1 minute, let's sing a song together. And everybody just goes.
Yeah.
Just what you just did. See, that means a lot.
Yeah. I mean, now that my dad is gone, that is a memory that will stay with me forever.
Absolutely.
Whenever this song comes on, and because he loved your music.
Well, we get a lot of very interesting, like, it was the first time, fill in the blank.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's exactly right.
Well, and you check about the Beatles and the Beach Boys and the Stones and all these things. I mean, there was really a friendly competition in the 60s. It was awesome.
I think so.
You guys drove each other to greater heights.
Oh yeah. You had a tough bar to cross there, And one of the best parts of that was Love and Spoonful,
Yeah.
Because we were really rivals in New York City,
Yeah.
They had the village area, we had the uptown area. But John and I, Sebastian and I, we're like best friends now. It's so cool. But in those days, it was as you say, friendly competition.
It really did.
Yeah,
like
it was
everybody just pushed each other to greater.
And that's really true, And look at the people that were around in those days. My goodness.
Tell you about groovin'.
The most insane thing about the Rascals, Young Rascals, is that the band had 9 huge hits from 1966 to 1968. But by 1970, they never had another hit, another top 40 hit. I mean, these guys, what was in the water in the 1960s? You had a lot of groups like this that were huge. I mean, these guys were right there with the Beatles and the Byrds and the Stones and the Beach Boys. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to leave us a comment about this #1 60 smash and about Felix and the Rascals, one of the greatest bands of that era. What are some other songs from the Rascals that you'd like us to cover? We actually talked about all their hits. What do you think about the story? I love these stories. What do you think about the 60s? Is it the greatest decade in music? Let's talk about it below. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.